First thing you want to do, you want to take out the plants from the tank. When you clean the plant, to scrub them down with a wet paper towel. Do not use any cleaning solution because it is toxic to the fish. For the rocks, use this bucket
and 1 teaspoon of bleach and fill it with water about there or until all the rocks are completely submerged. Soak that for 24 hours. Dump everything out and then just wipe it to make sure there's no bleach. Fill it full of hot water again. Soak it again for 24 hours with just water. Dump that and do it again, just water and just the rocks to ensure there's no bleach left in the rocks. You can smell the rocks just to make sure you can't smell any bleach. You may do this in intervals or use a second bucket. If you use a second bucket, make sure that's the only bucket that is used for these rocks. Do not use the bucket for other things, just for the rocks.
Second step after you take out the rocks and the plants is you're gonna want to use a scrubber like this. You'll need to replace it every 4 to 6 months. And you wanna find something that is fibrous like this, that has texture to clean the glass itself. Here is more algae. You wanna get in front of the rocks, behind the glass, in the front and in the back here. You want it to look like this, not like this color. And make sure that you are getting the glass underneath
Got it.
as well. That is right above the water line, because you'll get algae that will stick to the top right here.
Make sure your hands are clean, but do not have hand cream or lotion on your hands because that is toxic to the fish.
Gonna be parts in the tank because you're not gonna get enough pressure with the stick to reach certain part to remove all of the algae, and I'll show you why. We have this divider on the tank that is non-removable. And sometimes you'll see spots like this where scratch on the inside of the tank. Do you see how my thumb isn't moving? It's because there's a little bit of a scratch. So sometimes you'll get algae that gets stuck in those scratches, and like I said, sometimes you won't fully be able to get that algae out, but we always do our best. So this part is important right here on the inside, silicone, so that the tank doesn't leak any water. And so right here, you don't want to scrub too hard because then you'll take back that silicone layer. You just want to scrub enough on the outside right here, not right here, not on the like inside, but right on the edge of that silicone to remove that algae. And when you're cleaning the glass, you need to have pressure so that you can get the algae off. So do you see these green spots right here? You want to make sure that you're putting enough pressure
it's coming on.
so that that green algae and all of that gunk comes off. All right, the next step is you're gonna need at least a 5-gallon bucket, a siphoning hose. Put the siphoning hose just enough down far in there so that it doesn't pop out when we're siphoning out the water into the water. And you want to bring it up fully to where it comes down just about a quarter of the way so that it starts siphoning out that water. Now we're gonna siphon out the gunk. So we're gonna take a bit of the gravel and then we're gonna go like this and we're gonna swirl it around. Let's get a better shot so that you can see. You see that? How much gunk is coming out of the water?
That black?
Yeah. And so the goal is to get it as clear as possible when you're cleaning the gravel. That's what we're doing right now. We're digging down as far as we can until we'll pick up all that gunk, so food particles,
Their scales, poop.
their scales, yeah, poop, urine, stuff like that, that has just kind of settled down into the gravel. And what I like to do, I just like to start from one edge and go to the other. So I will just grab it right here so you can see how there's not really much gunk that is coming up. So I'm not gonna focus on these areas, and I'm gonna go to the next section. Ideally, you're gonna be cleaning the tank. Oh, see right there? That was a little bit too much. So we're gonna go in that exact same spot. Hold it up again.
Keeping an eye on your water level.
Yep, you wanna make sure you're keeping an eye on your water level. Yep, so see how that was a lot of gunk? We're gonna go back in that same spot. Ideally clean the gravel every 3 to 4 weeks. So now we've got up to right about here is where you want to stop. If you have any plants in your home, feed it with this water because it's really nutritious for them. All right, as I said, you'll dump out the water and then you'll repeat that process of sectioning out the algae from the rocks. We're gonna put that in, gonna bring it up, and get that nice water flow. So like I said, I'll just start off from where I was at. Usually I'll mark it with like a rock or something, or I'll mark it with this specifically. I just did it the first time. And you just want to suck out all of that gunk. We're to the point where we need to squeeze and pinch the hose so that we stop getting any more water flow, and we're gonna pour it out right here before we bring it up out of the tank so that we can tip it around and then let the rest out. You can see a lot of the spots that I missed. So I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna touch up on all of the spots that were missed when I couldn't see with the more murky water. And we've made our way down the entire length of the tank, so now we're done siphoning the water. And again, we are just gonna clean up all of those spots that were missed. So you can see some algae on the blue backing that was a little bit hard to see before. So after we've scrubbed the glass and siphoned out all of the gunk from the gravel, we want to leave the tank empty from where we brought down the water level, and we're gonna go straight to the filters. So there are 2 filters, need to be cleaned every 2 to 3 weeks. Do not wait a month. Very first step is to unplug the filters before we do anything. So we just unplugged our first filter and you can see that it has stopped filtering out clean water. And we have this one to unplug as well. Now that both filters are unplugged, we can start detaching them from the hoses that connect. One of them pours out clean water and the other one sucks in the dirty water. So we're gonna turn the knobs counterclockwise to stop the water flow. And we're gonna do that on both sides. Same thing on this one. We're gonna turn counterclockwise. So right now, what you're gonna do is you're gonna push this nozzle in and you're gonna keep pressure down on it while you're pushing it in. And you're gonna take the hose off. And I like to use a towel because it gets pretty wet. Because you're gonna have water that comes out and spews out. So we're gonna push this in, right? And then we're gonna
wiggle and pull up.
Yep. And it's a struggle sometimes.
Which is good. You want that tight seal.
So that one was good. We didn't have any water come out, but you can see how high the water level is right here, right there. Yep. Okay. And we were safe with that one too. So next up, we're gonna do this same one as well. I like to do them at the same time, just more efficient. Oh, see, that one leaked pretty good. So just keep that in mind. Do you see how wet that towel got compared to like right here? You can see the differentiation. And very little leakage right there. Now they're both undone. Now the important thing to keep in mind, thank you, is you want this part of the filter. It doesn't detach, but you always want this part pointing outwards. You don't want it on the back because you want these hoses to connect correctly. So now we're gonna take these into the back and we're gonna show you how to clean them. All right, so the first step to taking off the lid is we're gonna turn these knobs counterclockwise. Okay, so this is what it looks like. It's pretty gross and gunky all up in there. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna clean it section by section. I also want to clean this one, make it nice and clear up in here because you can see all of the gunk in there, and so our goal is to make that as clear as possible within reason. I'm gonna go dump this out, and we've moved outside so that water doesn't get everywhere. We're gonna spray out this bucket, get out all that gunk. So you can see there's not any gunk in there. We're gonna do the same thing to the lid. This one always needs to be on top. Filters that go in here, and then we have zeolite. Clean that to the best of your abilities. Ideally, you want it as white as can be. It's another filter, and we're gonna stack that on top. So we're gonna start with this one, and we're gonna rinse this out. Typically, you want to change these out because it has a zipper on it, so you're able to change out the contents inside, and you want to change that each time clean the filters or every other time. Right now we're gonna do it. We're gonna put a brand new set in there. So after you switch it out, you're gonna want to rinse it out until you don't see any more of this white stuff coming out. Same thing with this. We're gonna clean that as best as possible. We just cleaned our bottom layer, so we're gonna go to our middle layer next. When we switch this out, make sure that you rinse it out. Powder and the black charcoal powder gets removed but set back into the filter. These are the brands that we use because these are expensive filters, so we want to use what's best. Make sure you rinse out your bag too before you put anything new in there. One bag should be zeolite and the other bag should be charcoal. Now that we have it filled up about halfway, we're gonna rinse it out before we put it back into the filter. After you've rinsed it out, you're gonna fold it in half. And then we're gonna do the same process with the charcoal. I'm gonna fold this one in half too. Like so. And we're gonna repeat the process that we did on these two. Make sure all of these are lined up because it's gonna need to be lined up when you put it back in the canister. We're gonna clean these off too because they get a little gunky. The little part goes first and it snaps into place. Next, we're gonna put it back into the canister. You want it, when you're putting it in, you're gonna find it to sit a specific way or it won't shut properly. You'll feel it fall into place. And then you're gonna stop about 1/4 of an inch from the top and put the lid on. Make sure that it goes in this open hole right here. Make sure that your holes on the top of your lid match up with the holes on the canister. We're gonna shut it closed counterclockwise, and we're gonna do it the opposite so that it gets a nice tight seal. Alright, so now that we have finished this filter, we're gonna do the exact same thing on the other filter. Alright, so once you have them back in their places after being cleaned, we're gonna hook them back up. This is very important. Do not plug them in when they are not hooked up to the hose. Make sure that your hoses are reattached before you plug them in. Seeing how we took them off, we're gonna do the same thing to put them back on. So we're gonna push it in and you're gonna wait till it clicks down into place. Do the same thing to the other side. So again, you want this facing out at all times. Your back hose is gonna be shorter for your back connection, and the longer hose is gonna go on the front connection. Again, we're gonna push it in. We're gonna push this little red nozzle in, and I'll show you. You're gonna see it push out, and so we're gonna keep pressure until it locks down into place on this one. All right, so we've got them both hooked up, and now we're gonna turn the dial clockwise on both of them so that the water starts flowing through the hose. Same thing over here. There's no water leakage, so we're good. Now they're both connected. But we're not gonna plug it in until we fill up the tank to the top so that there's water that gets sucked into the filters to be able to filter out the dirty water with the clean water. So we're filling it up. We're about halfway from where we were at. I want to fill it up to like right about where my nail is at. And then once this is all filled up, we're gonna add our solution before we start the filters up. All right, so we have the tank fully filled. And so now we can connect the plugs. Plug in both filters. So once the tank is all clean and we have cleaned the filters and plugged everything back in and it's all back to its original state, we're gonna add in these 2 solutions. So each capful is every 2 bottles that we emptied out. And this time around, I emptied out 6 bottles. So we're gonna do 3 capfuls of each. So this is another step that we need to do. We're gonna put in just a little bit of Graham salt to help keep that pH balance. Your water's gonna be a little bit cloudy for a little bit, but you're just gonna let it sit and it'll clear up in about 5 to 10